right now we have Cocktail from For the Love of Ray J. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Another first on Up and Cummin Entertainment. This is your first on-camera interview?
Sure is.
Wow. So let's start. Where you from?
Sacramento, California.
My uncle lives out there.
Cali. Still.
And how did you fall into Ray J's show?
Ray J. I fell into the show. I was at a nightclub and a girl approached me. She was doing casting calls for the show. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm single and Ray J is hella hot. Why not?
And how did you deal with all these many different girls in the house?
It was really, really hard. I have actually been on another show before this one with, it's called the Bad Girls Club. 7 girls in a house. I was living in the house with 7 girls for months. So I kind of learned how to deal with different personalities and just being in a house full of crazy women. But in this particular show, there's 14 girls and you're competing for one man. Basically patience. It taught me patience, and that is something that I've been trying to work on my whole life. So just trying to stay focused, trying to just stay focused on Ray and not the other girls. It's just kind of hard to not get caught up in the drama, so.
And I remember watching the very first episode, you had a emotional breakdown. What happened?
I'm so embarrassed about that. Thank you, production, for editing. Basically what had happened, that whole conversation was totally taken out of context. Basically what Ray and I were conversing about was his grandmother that had just passed. He wrote a song about her, All That I Am, and he and I were talking about what inspired him to write that song, and it was because of his grandmother, and I brought up a sensitive subject, and he got emotional, and I felt bad for even bringing that up when, he's just trying to get to know us and have a good time, and he got emotional, and I got emotional, and scared at the same time, thinking, great, I just blew it. I'm gonna get sent home because, I'm bringing up really personal things that he probably doesn't want to talk about, and so that's why I started to cry. It wasn't because I just sat down and he was like, oh, well, why are you here? Oh, I'm here for love. And then also, that wasn't it. So that wasn't the reason why I started crying, but it's just an emotional subject that we were talking about, and so that's how that went about.
Who did you click with in the house?
Chardonnay, that's my girl. That is my girl. From the very beginning, entering the house, I shared a room with Low Hood and Feisty, because those were the girls that at the club, we all just kind of were drawn to each other, serving drinks and talking and dancing. We were actually I would consider us like party girls that I kind of just was drawn to naturally, and initially I was cool with them, but then Chardonnay and I felt were more friends than anybody else in the house, and I felt that Chardonnay and I were the main ones there for Ray, and we just had a lot in common. She's the coolest chick ever.
When you got close to Ray J, what was your feelings about him?
At first, because it was a competition, I wasn't sure. I was confused. I was afraid to get really close to him, but at the same time, it's kind of easy to like somebody initially, based off their looks, and he's a successful entertainer. It's, easy to be attracted to someone like that. I mean, his looks, his career, and then his personality. It's just so magnetic, and he's just an amazing person altogether. And, they put us in intimate situations to where it's just so easy to fall for him. So at the beginning, kind of confused. I mean, I liked him, he's hot, but eventually throughout the show, I ended up falling in love with him.
Have you seen his infamous tape?
His Stokes dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was you impressed by it or yawn?
Oh my gosh. I'm a little embarrassed, believe it or not, to talk about his tape. But I feel like anything personal that has anything to do with him, I feel a little shy and not too comfortable to talk about his personal business. But yeah, I saw it. I was tempted, I was curious, and I saw it, and it was interesting.
Now, did they portray you fairly on the show as a true image that you are?
To some extent, for the most part, I would say yes. But I mean, it's a competition. It's gonna draw out the competitive side of me, and when I get competitive, I get really ugly. As far as being really catty, and naturally, I'm not really catty. I'm really competitive, so to a certain extent, yes, because I'm a very sensitive person. I cried a lot on the show. I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I mean, I'm put in a vulnerable situation, you know, with these girls. You know, I come home from a date with him and then he's kissing on another girl. I'm gonna get my feelings hurt, you know, I'm a sensitive person. So I would say 50-50.
And what's next for you?
After the show, what's next for me?
Yeah.
I guess you'll just have to stay tuned. I really want to give too much info, but this isn't the last of me, definitely not. You'll see more of me for sure.
I believe you. Would you have done Flavor of Love?
No, Jesus. No, he's so not my type. I don't want to badmouth Flavor Flav or anything, because I respect him, and he's just not my type. Let's just say that. No.
Not your cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. Definitely not.
And how did you get along with Little B in the house?
Lil B, she was really, really cool. I liked her and I respected her a lot. I respected her for not playing favorites, and her letting us come to her about personal things, and her not going to Ray necessarily about, you know, certain topics or certain feelings or just girl talk. I felt like she played it fair with everyone, and I'm really cool with her, and I'm glad that we had someone like Lil B in the house to talk to, as opposed to just going directly to Ray.
Now, the rest of his family, his sister and parents, how was that experience meeting them?
Meeting his sister, Brandy, was definitely shocking. I'm still lost for words when I think about the whole situation. Like, watching the show, and my palms still get sweaty. I didn't expect to meet his family. Definitely not. Did it cross my mind? Yes, but I mean, things were just thrown to us left and right. You know, when he's like, my sister's gonna be interviewing you guys, it was just like, oh, really? You know, now she's gonna be judging us based off these questions that were not so friendly towards us, because we all asked each other questions. So they weren't the most appropriate questions, I would say, that I would want my boyfriend's sister that I'm meeting for the first time to ask me, as opposed to her just asking me genuine questions and for her to get to know me on her level and at her pace. So meeting his mom was definitely the hardest thing I have ever done. Meeting anyone's mother. It was just really hectic, scary, and love her to pieces. She's great. And meeting his dad was definitely not as intense. He was a little bit more easygoing, cool guy.
Now, the mixer, what was up with Tom Green trying to hit on you?
What? He's just silly. It wasn't anything serious, because he's a comedian, and I could tell that he was flirting in good taste and just kind of maybe trying to see what kind of feel out our personalities. I didn't take it personal, like, oh my god, he's trying to get at me. I didn't take it like that. So I'm being nice, and I was myself, and it wasn't serious. He's a funny guy, so I'm just kind of gonna play along and go along with whatever he said. So.